baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Welcome into On Deck. I'm Tyler Redmond. As always, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell for notifications so you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck, and of course, with the Atlanta Braves. And we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Atlanta Braves. They, of course, just finished a series with the Pirates. They did lose the series, but they finished it off in a big way, putting up 14 runs on the board. Hopefully that momentum will continue as they go to face Miami in the next one. So with that out of the way, there's some off-the-field discussion being had. Of course, the trade deadline's coming up. That always leads to some discussion about who's going to come, who's going to stay, and I have some proposals myself here, so I'd like to run them by you, tell you what I think could happen, and I think the Braves should make some moves here. I think we all kind of think that right now. They've had, a very up and down year. They could use a shot in the arm, and this team needs a direction to go in, and it needs a few additions to do that. So I have some things that I think could be of interest to you. Something my sources are telling me is that Alex Anthopoulos was actually in Rome last night, and they were basically proposing the idea that he could be taking a look at Michael Harris. And, you got to think that when he goes to Rome, he's getting some analysis of the players. He's getting maybe some last-minute looks before the trade deadline, maybe making his mind up to some degree. And there are some big names on the roster. I mentioned Michael Harris. Jared Schuster is on that roster. He was the first-round pick for the Braves last year. Bryce Ball, Logan Brown, some other ones to name. But as you probably already know, Michael Harris is the true attraction in that list, and he's one of the best prospects for the Braves. He's currently number 9 in the top prospect list, and he likely has a very bright future ahead of him, whether that be in a Braves uniform or not. With that said, the trade deadline is coming soon, and the Braves are going to be active. They have to be. If they're going to compete this year, they have to be. With the current team right now that can't topple 500, they got to do something, right? So as we move toward the deadline, July 30th, by the way, the question I think needs to be asked, will Michael Harris be dealt at the deadline? For the purpose of this video, just to have a discussion here, we're just going to say yes. We're going to say that he is on the table, he is a bargaining chip, and we're going to use him, okay? There are some solid reasons to think this could happen. For one, the outfield is cluttered, right? It's not crowded per se like it was a few years ago where you had a lot of guys at the major league level that were, just right there ready to play on the field, but it is cluttered. And what I mean by that is, think about it, right? You got Acuna who signed for 10 years. You got Ozuna who maybe returns, maybe doesn't. There's a lot of unknown with his money. We really don't know a lot what's going on with Ozuna, right? You got Almani, Heredia, and Arcia who are currently at the major league level, could move at any time, but they're there. Pache, who is the cream of the crop in the prospects. We already know that. The Braves are really high on Pache, and for the right reasons. But, at one time, he was just as talked about as Michael Harris is now. Waters, who's, in terms of the next man up conversation, is right behind Pache. So, don't forget, Harris is also only in high A ball. Okay, so he's got a long road ahead of him. His current estimated time of arrival is about 2023. And he hasn't had a lot of time to grow and develop against better talent. You don't know what kind of pitching he's facing down there. And COVID-19's delay and everything else really didn't benefit the minor leagues whatsoever. Really kind of muddied the waters there. But the point to be taken here is he's got a long road ahead of him before he ever even makes it to the show. Not to mention, you got to expect he's going to have some early struggles. I mean, we've seen that with Pache. We've seen that with anybody that's really hit the major leagues. At some point, they struggled. If they didn't do it early on, they did do it, a month in. So I think you kind of have to expect that. So the point is, the Braves don't really need a 5-star talent 5 years from now, right? Or whenever he eventually comes around to being what we think he's going to be. It's going to be about 5 years. We're past the rebuild stage. Prospects aren't really as important as they were a few years ago. And the core team we have is here. And we need to build around them. Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, Austin Riley, guys like that are signed past this year that are going to be here for a while for sure. Those are the guys we need to build around. Those are the guys that are here to be successful. And I hate to say it, but the second reason that I think I'm okay with losing a guy like Michael Harris is we haven't been great in developing prospects over the last few years. Okay, it's not like he's going to miraculously come around in the next year or two. I don't think that's going to be the case. And when you've had Kyle Wright, when you've had Bryce Wilson, when you've had Christian Pache come up and struggle and be sent back down, come up and be sent back down, give them some credit. Minor leagues have been rocky over the past few years due to COVID, but the fact is, those guys used to be really big bargaining chips in trades. And you know me, I am never big in just willy-nilly trading off prospects, okay? I'm not here for trading a prospect for an immediate fix for a guy whose contract is going to end at the end of the year, want a bunch of money, is putting up mediocre stats anyway. That's never been me, okay? I've never been a guy to tell you that. But the fact of the matter is, those guys are not bargaining chips anymore. Not really. I mean, it would take 2 or 3 of them to land anybody any good. So we need immediate success right now. This team is good. We have good players. We have good talent. But we need a win-win scenario. We can't go trade for someone that's not going to have an immediate effect. I don't think we can wait around for any more prospects because our competitive window will close at some point. And I think it's within the next 7, 8 years. I think at that point we're going to start losing our competitive drive. And you could argue that keeping our prospects would help, deter that. But I think our real competitive window is in these next few years. And I don't know that Michael Harris is going to be around for that anyway. So I already proposed this. I think this is a win-win scenario. If we were to trade Michael Harris, I think this could benefit both teams tremendously. And I think this is a real possibility. I think Michael Harris could be the cornerstone of a trade between the Braves and the Pirates. Who would I want for such a highly touted prospect, you might ask? You better give me Bryan Reynolds. Okay, I've been really impressed with Bryan Reynolds. And I know you're going to say, but Tyler, that's exactly what you just said, right? You're trading away a big prospect for immediate success. It is immediate success. It is an immediate fix, but there is a fundamental difference here. Reynolds is under team control until 2026. He's also a long-term fix. Okay, this is a guy that could be, a star for the Braves for years to come, and it's a great deal. He's only making about $600,000 this year. The Braves wouldn't be on the hook for all of that, and he's not going to make, tons of much more after this. And this deal makes sense for both sides. The Braves get an immediate bat. They get someone in the lineup that's going to perform. And by the way, he's having a great year. He's hitting .305 with 15 homers. He's already been named an All-Star. And this would give the Pirates something to look forward to in Michael Harris as they start their rebuild, because you got to think they are. You got to think they're going to, any kind of big star that they have, they're going to take whatever value they have at that moment. And you can't blame them. So this works out for both teams. But Reynolds here for the Braves would be a long-term solution and, would fit in their current competing window. I think that window, again, that his contract about covers the window that I'm looking at. Till 2026 is about where I'm at. And look, I don't think Harris is going to be enough to land Reynolds. If the Pirates are smart, they're going to want more. I do think Ender could go. He would be their outfielder over the next few years. He would also take some money probably off of the Braves, probably would offset some of that. And I think another prospect who's not as touted as Harris could go as well, maybe some pitching prospect of some degree. But they're going to be wanting prospects. They're not going to want, just anyone. I think Michael Harris would be a good fit in that trade, and it would be interesting if that happened. But that's just one aspect, okay? That's just one trade proposal. That's just one idea. And I do think it's a good possibility, but that, again, is just one. There are others, and, in fact, right now there is a team that has all eyes on it, and that's the Chicago Cubs, because there's a rumor that they're going to be sellers, okay? They're not just going to be sellers, they're going to be fire sellers. They have lost 11 out of their last 12, okay? They have fallen 8.5 games back in the National League Central. They may be out of it, and they also might be ready to fire sell. So what's the difference in being a seller and being a fire seller? The difference to me is that when you're a seller, you might have a couple of good pieces that you're willing to get rid of for the right price. But when you're a fire seller, you have a lot of pieces, a lot of good pieces, and a lot of different positions, and you're ready to start a rebuild. And I think the Cubs may be there. The Cubs have a lot of good players. Chris Bryant, who's looking for a home after this year anyway, might be on the move. Anthony Rizzo, Javi Baez, Ian Happ, Wilson Contreras, not to be confused with Wilson Contreras. But the guy that intrigues me for the Braves is a former Brave, Craig Kimbrel. Yeah, I said it, Craig Kimbrel. You regular watchers of the channel may remember that I was against signing Craig Kimbrel a few years ago as a free agent. And I had my reasons for that. I thought his best years were behind him, and he was going to get paid way too much. I didn't think he'd have a great effect on the bullpen at the time. But frankly, for the past 2 years, I've been right. He hadn't had an ERA below 4, but this year he's been magnificent. He's not the same Kimbrel necessarily from Braves past. He's not outmatching guys with fastballs all the time, but he does currently sit at a .57 ERA. He's already been named an All-Star. And that's something our bullpen can use. At the end of the day, he's limiting runs. And if we're honest right now, guys, we don't have a true closer. Will Smith is rocky sometimes. Tyler Matzik walked in a run the other night. We don't have a guy that can come in and shut things down at the moment. And, you can make different reasons for that. I think the fact Shane Green didn't have a spring training is drastically affecting his performance right now. But if it's true that we have money to spend at the deadline, if it's true that we could go out and get something, if Liberty Media is really going to make that jump, if we don't have to give up a huge haul for Craig Kimbrel, I'm here for it. Go get him. We probably will. We probably will have to give up something. We're going to have to give up something. A lot of folks are expecting that we will, and they're not going to like it, okay? And that's just how it is. But I think the Cubs also want to lose some of the money that they're paying Kimbrel, because if they're not going to be competitive, what's the point? And they're paying him, okay? He is making some money. So the Braves are going to have to eat that to some degree. He is a free agent next year with a team option. At the end of the day, I think Craig Kimbrel would be a really good addition to the bullpen. I think any addition to the pen would be a good thing at this point. Test the water, see how it goes. But at the end of the day, I think if you add Bryan Reynolds and Craig Kimbrel to the Braves, I think that's an immediate shot in the arm. I think that's reminiscent of what Fred McGriff was in '95. Get him over the hump. We can't wait till the deadline, guys. We have got to get to something that get us through the regular season. If we want to be competitive, you get to the postseason, anything can happen. But you got to get there first. And I think Alex Anthopoulos is certainly considering it. I think the Braves management is certainly looking at everything, and I think it's going to be soon when we find out a trade has happened. So to keep up with everything, to keep up with all the Braves trades possibilities, maybe they'll give us something to talk about here pretty soon. To keep up with all that, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell for notifications so you can stay up to date with everything going on here and on deck, and of course with the Atlanta Braves. And of course, share this with Braves fans. Let them tell me what they think about it. Maybe they want to hear Welcome to the Jungle in Truist Park just like I do. But until next time, I appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time right here at On Deck.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.